Okay, let me know now. Did that solve our problem? Okay, it looks like I'm getting sound now. I've been we've been using a new system, and I apologize if I wasted the last 4 minutes of anyone's life. But here we go. We're gonna get started. Yeah, if you can send me a text and let me know that I am now, in fact, uh, working with sound, and we can get started here. So once again, as always, one of our Okay, perfect. Thanks for letting me know. So one of the things that I love to do with you guys is play games and do activities. So I apologize that that took so long for me to get all of our sound in order. So this is a new program for me. First time I've ever used it with you guys. So hopefully, in the long run, this is gonna make us able to do some really cool stuff to really make sure that we have a lot of flexibility, but it's new to me, so I'm glad I was able to figure that out, and it didn't take me too long. It's been the story of my day. So one of the exciting things is we're going to start doing in-person programming for students at church beginning this Sunday. So I've spent the last 2 days at church getting all of our tech stuff set up back there. None of the batteries in any of the microphones were still good. Even the battery in the TV remote to get the front TV in the front of the church room working was dead. So I did a lot of battery changes and troubleshooting, but we are good to go for Sunday. So if you guys want to join us on Sunday morning, check-in will be on the courtyard. I know some people, some families still aren't ready to meet in person, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So we're going to continue to do Restless, and we'll be able to hang out and have a good time here on Fridays. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and kick off our first video, or not our first video, but our first game. And we kind of went over this last week, and I shared with you about the game that we were going to be playing. And Maddie, I was talking to you. About this the other day. I thought you would be good at it. So this is a game called "Is It a Band or Is It a Vaccine?" So the way this game is going to work is I'm going to put a word up on the screen. I'll slide over a bit. I'm going to put a word up on the screen, and then you're going to have to let me know, is it a name of a vaccine or the name of a band, or is it potentially one for both? So let's do this first one. What do you guys think? Coronas. Do you guys think coronas? So what is a vaccine? So a vaccine is kind of like a shot that you get from the doctor in order to prevent you from getting sick from something. So you know how when you go to the doctor and you get a flu shot, you're actually getting a flu vaccine. So it's a shot that you get in order to keep you from getting sick. So it gives you what you need to be able um, to prevent yourself from getting sick. So that's what a vaccine is. So what do you guys think? Corona's a band? Is it a vaccine or is it both? Okay, I'm gonna give a little bit of flexibility on this one because I know we are in the middle of coronavirus, so you might say that this is a coronavirus vaccine, but Coronas is the name of the band. So if you said band, yes, you are correct on that one. But also, I'm going to give you guys a little flexibility on that one because that one was kind of I don't know, I don't want to say deceptive, but it was one of those, whoops, just turned my light off. Misleading, I guess we'll say that one was. So we won't give anybody docked points if they got that one wrong, but you guys can give yourself points if you want for getting it right. So here we go. Let's check out this next one. Varicella or varicella. I'm not totally sure. So what do you guys think? Is varicella a vaccine, or is it a band, or is it both? So I see Lucian's going for both. What do you guys think? Get your votes in. Do you think that's the name of a band? Do you think that's the name of a vaccine? Or do you think that is both? Maddie got vaccine. Cole says both. Amy says vaccine. Marty says vaccine. Okay, where are we at on this one? Let's see. Once again, I guess I will give the answer to this one first. Answer is both. Good job. Hey, Abby, glad you could join us. So, yes, varicella. I don't know how to say this. I might have to get some clarification on this one. I don't know if it's varicella or varicella, but it is both. So there is a band and there is a vaccine. So just a reminder for anybody that's watching this video, if you are watching on YouTube on your TV, and I know that you're not able to. Oh, is that what the official name of the chickenpox vaccine is, Amy? I had no idea. Um, if you're watching on YouTube on your TV and you're not able to participate in the chat, you guys can go ahead and send texts to my phone. I know most of you have my phone number out there. And then also, if you're on a computer and you want to engage in the chat, go ahead and say that you're here. That way we know that you are here and we're not just talking amongst those of us that are only in the chat. We want everybody to be included. So that's going to be that one. And we're going to go to the next one. And I think we might have some uncertain answers on this one. So let's take a look. Measles. What do you guys think? Measles. So we're taking a look at measles, and do you guys think measles is the name of a band? Do you think it's the name of a vaccine, or do you think this is both? So go ahead and get your answers in there. I know some of us know that maybe this is one, or some of us might know that maybe this is not one, but if it's hard to say, like sometimes you've heard of the disease or you've heard of the shot, but you don't know if there's also a band with that same name. So let's go ahead and check that one out. Amy's going with both. Yeah, she's saying definitely a vaccine. Yeah, it's like I said, sometimes people are like, well, I know it's one, but I have no idea if it's going to be both. So go ahead and get your answers in there. Answers in there. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so just so you guys know, I'm going to try a test really quick because I was having problems with my sound when we first started. So one of the things that I did was I unplugged my microphone, and I'm talking to the camera microphone on the computer. And one of the things I've learned is when I do that for 45 minutes to an hour while talking to you guys, my voice gets tired and I physically get tired. So I'm going to try plugging it back in and see if it works. You guys... Okay, I just plugged it in, and let me know if you can hear me. If the sound went away and you're not hearing it, you can put it in the chat. Or I guess if you're not going to know what I'm saying. So if you can hear me, you guys can go ahead and give me a thumbs up in the chat, or just say you can hear me in the chat, and then I'll keep going. So hey, Aiden, no worries. Oh, cool, you were planting vegetables? Let us know what vegetables you were planting in the chat. Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay, I'm glad. We're learning on the fly here, so glad this is working. So, Aiden, I'll explain the game we're playing really quick. This is a game we're calling Vaccine, Band, or Both. So what we're doing is we are going to put up a name of something, and then you guys are voting whether you think it's the name of a vaccine, whether you think it's the name of a band, or whether you think it might be both. So we are giving the answer to measles right now. And yes, measles is both. So congratulations. Quite a few of you guys put measles quite a few of you guys put both for measles. Okay, we're going to go quick here because we've got a few more to go, and then we're going to head into our next activity. Dogwood. So, do you think dogwood is a band? Do you think it's a vaccine? Or do you think it is both? We should have made this really complicated and also given you a neither, because this one seems like a good candidate for a neither as well. But what do you guys think? Dogwood. Is it a band? Is it a vaccine? Or is it both? So we got a band from Lucian. We got a band from Amy. So nobody's thinking it's a vaccine. We don't have any boths We don't have any just vaccine. Okay, Aiden planted green onions, eggplants, marigold, chives, zucchini, cilantro, tomatoes, and basil. That sounds like you're going to have one fantastic Italian dinner. Actually, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with that. So, dogwood is the name of a tree. It is the name of a tree. And in a minute, I will give you a fun fact but I don't want to give the answer away. I didn't see too many people saying both, and I don't see too many people saying just vaccine. So Aiden's going with vaccine. And yes, the dogwood tree is a plant, or a tree. Dogwood tree is a tree. That makes sense. But here we go. The answer to this is a band. Okay, so fun story. Dogwood is a band, and they in the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, they were a pretty popular punk band, a Christian punk band, and they were from Escondido. So, Escondido also has their names for their streets based off of trees. So if you're ever wondering the order of a tree, the order of the streets, they go in alphabetical order. I guess they're not necessarily trees; they're plants. But there's, ash, which is a kind of tree. There's beech, which is a kind of tree. So not EA, but BEECH. So you've got a fun way to know your way around Escondido. If you're trying to figure out where you are, they go in alphabetical order by the name of plants, the sequence of the trees. Okay, or the sequence of the streets are plants, or mostly trees. Okay, let's check out this next one. Okay, flu. Do you guys think flu is a vaccine only, a band only, or both? So go ahead and get your answers in there. We've got a few more of these, so I'll try to go quick because I want to have plenty of time to share with you our devotional for today, and then we'll get going. So what do you guys think? Flu. Is the flu just a vaccine? Is the flu a band only, or is it both? Although Amy was the one that pointed out that the dogwood's the name of a tree. So yeah, some of these things mean lots of other things. Like when I read flu, it made me think of the fireplace, but not quite the same spelling. I think that's FLEW. I might be wrong on that. So what do we think? Both. We got quite a few boths. Yeah, most people are saying both. Once again, a reminder, if you're watching the video, go ahead and engage in the chat, and that way we know who all is chatting. Here we go. And the answer is both. So yes, congratulations, everyone that got an answer and got that one correct. So good job. Let's do this next one. Pertussis. Pertussis. Is there a pertussis vaccine? Is there a band that's named pertussis? Or pertussis? What do you guys think? Is pertussis a vaccine? Is pertussis a band? Is pertussis both? What do you guys think? We got a both. Got a vaccine. Got a couple of vaccines. Got a couple of both. Here we go. What do you guys think? What do you think our answer is for pertussis? Do you think pertussis is a vaccine? Do you think pertussis is a band? Or do you think pertussis is both? Here we go. It is a vaccine. Okay, I'm going to go pretty quick through these next ones. So I have a little bit of a lag before I see the answers that people are putting. So go ahead and you guys can just type in your answers as quick as you can. I might not have a chance to look at them before I move on to our next one. So our first one, polio. So I think a lot of people... whooping cough. So that's what pertussis... I was going to say, I don't know any of the actual names of these things. So pertussis is whooping cough. So polio, what do you guys think? polio. I haven't heard from you in a while, Cole. Are you still out there? We are wondering if polio is a vaccine, if polio is a band, or if polio is both. Okay, get your answers in. We're going to go quick for these next ones. Here we go. Polio is just a vaccine. There is no band name that's taken by that's taken by polio. So if you want to start a band, you can name yourselves Polio, and you don't have to worry about anybody else already having a band by the name of Polio. You're good to go there. Okay, next one. Fugazi. What do you guys think? Fugazi. Do you think Fugazi is the name of a vaccine? Do you think it's the name of a band? Or do you think it is the name of both a band and a vaccine? So like I said earlier, we're going to start going quick through these next 2 or 3. We've got 3 left, so this is the third of the 3 that are left. What do you guys think? Fugazi, is that a band? Is that a vaccine? Or is that both? The answer is band. So if you said band, good job. If you said both, you got 50% correct, which is still pretty good. Okay, next one. What do you guys think? Mumps. Do you think mumps is the name of a vaccine? Do you think mumps is the name of a band? Or do you think mumps is the name of a band and a vaccine? So here we go. What do you guys think? Mumps. Is it a band? Is it a vaccine? Or is it both? So we've got a band, we've got a vaccine. So we've got anybody willing to go out on a limb and say both and then say we've got everything covered? There we go. Okay, here we go. The answer is both. Yes. I don't know if it's exclusively, but I do know there's a vaccine called the MMR, which is mumps, measles, and rubella. So we did measles earlier. So MMR, mumps, measles, rubella. Here we go. Anthrax. So we are currently in a season where people are worried about COVID. And for those of you that are around in 2001, anthrax was one of those ones that was scary. But was it a vaccine? We knew it was something that you could potentially get hurt from. But is it something that you would be able to be vaccinated against? Or did somebody name a band after it? It's a chemical is what anthrax is. What do you guys think? Is anthrax a vaccine? Is it a chemical? Or is it both? Ready, set, go. And the answer is both. Okay, perfect. Hey, good job. Thanks for hanging in there for that game time. So I do have another game for us to play. We do have a decent amount of time here. But I did want to make sure that I saved plenty of time to make sure we had a good chunk of our session set aside for a devotional. So last week, I shared a little bit with you guys of things that are important for us to remember as life goes, I don't want to say back to normal. I liked a conversation I had via text with Amy today where we were talking about the new normal, and then I was kind of saying like, well, we don't want to be normal. We want to be different. We want to stand out. As Christians, we want people to look at us and say, there's something different about that guy. We want our friends to look at us and say, what there's character behind that person. There's something about them that I respect, that I admire. So one of the things we were talking about last week was as things start to open up and we start to have opportunities to go places and do things, it's important for us to have a healthy perspective of, respecting people. It's not our place to tell people, hey, you need to go back and start doing all of these things. It's everybody has the right to continue to stay home. There's nothing wrong with staying home and continuing to be safe. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with people that are really anxious to be around people again. I know me, I'm a people person. I want to be around people. One of the things that I'm really bummed about is that I can't just go and hug my friends, but I'm looking forward to being able to do that. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to share a little bit with you guys today, is there's a passage in Scripture, and one of the things that I think it's really important for us to remember the we know like God as like we like think of God as like a power in the sky so often, right? This we talk about like all knowing, all wise, all powerful, right? But we often forget and we often neglect the humanity of Jesus, right? That he was a man who came and walked the earth, right? He got dirty. He had to bathe. There's a story in the Bible where he kind of got in trouble with his mom, right? So I can definitely relate on that one, right? There's a passage in scripture, and it's a lot of people know it because it is the shortest passage of scripture in the Bible. Does anybody know off the top of their head what it says in the shortest passage of scripture in the entire Bible? The shortest, I guess not passage, the shortest verse. Does anybody know what it says in the shortest verse of the Bible? I'm going to give you guys a second. Yeah, Aiden, great job. It says, and Jesus wept, right? So the passage says Jesus wept, and it's a fun fact, right, to be able to say, I know that the shortest verse in the Bible is Jesus wept. But the majority of us, when we have that, sometimes it's fun to have like those fun facts in the back of your mind, but you don't know what to do with it other than the fact that it's just a random piece of information that you can give. Why was Jesus crying? Right? We know that there's a passage of scripture and it's a really short one and it says Jesus wept. Right? But it's really easy for us to get caught up in the fact that, oh, I know this passage, right? And it's good to know these. There's nothing wrong with knowing it, but I think it also is really important for us. Like when it comes to reading scripture, context is really important. And most people, almost all people that can tell you that the verse is Jesus wept, myself included, would say, oh, it's Jesus wept. And then if somebody were to ask me, what was he crying about? I would have to be like, oh, I'm not sure. Let me go check. And then, it's the shortest verse, but you might not know where it is in the Bible, right? So it's actually in John chapter 11. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in John chapter 11. I've got my Bible here. So in John chapter 11, a lot of the stuff that's happening is Jesus has been doing, he's been traveling around in this time, and he's been healing people who are blind, right? He's been making people who are paralyzed walk, right? He's been doing some pretty magnificent things, right? He's been performing miracles. Yeah, Aiden, great job. Yeah, somewhere in John chapter 11, it's verse 35 is the verse where it literally says Jesus wept. But the passage and the reason that Jesus was crying, and I think this is really telling, and it's really, I guess I love this passage because we're in a season where there's been a lot of hardship, right? Honestly, I have been doing pretty well, all things considered, in this season of COVID, right? I'm really healthy. I've been taking care of myself. Carolyn and my relationship is great. We're at home, but we don't want to kill each other. It's like we're doing pretty well. We both have our jobs still, right? But we still recognize the fact that there is a lot of hardship going on in the world. There's a lot of people who are in pain. And in this passage, right before it tells you that Jesus wept, and one of the things that I love is in this passage, there's multiple people crying, and what it makes me think of is two different examples of that this makes me think of. One is we used to have a student in our high school ministry years ago. I think she graduated maybe 2009 from high school, and there was a group of girls in the high school cafe area, and then one of them just started screaming about something, and then they all started screaming about something, and then finally this last person was screaming, and then she just screams, "Why are we screaming?" Right? It was just when everything around us is in a certain state, we just get sucked into that. And one of the things that COVID has done is it's sucked a lot of people into a panic state, right? Everybody around me is in panic. I should probably be in panic, right? And there's I should have brought this video up, but there's a great video of a large crowd of people. So a large crowd of people just go out into a public place, and then so there's already lots of people around, and then they surround a person, and then on a signal they all duck, right? So you've got, this just out in a public place, let's say walking in through a crowded park, and you see all of these people surround one person, and then they all duck at once, and then this person looks around, sees everybody around them ducking, and then they also get down, right? And in this passage, we've got all of these people around Jesus, and they're crying. And our church used to have a child care department, right? And I heard a story. I actually never met this kid, but they told me about a kid who was an empathy crier. He was an empathy crier, right? And what they meant when they told me this story was that this one child, if there was another child that was crying, he would go and sit with that child, except not in an uncontrollable manner, but under control, would sit with them, and they would cry together, right? And they would mourn together. And this empathy crying child was able to calm down the other child that was kind of crying out of control, right? And I just thought that was the cutest thing I'd ever heard, is an empathy crying child. Like, we're talking like really young, like toddler, right? Not old enough to be able to do anything beyond the emotion side. Like, they couldn't logic what was going on. It was just this child's natural instinct towards empathy, right? And what I love about this passage of scripture is that it gives us a glimpse into the humanity of Jesus, right? So the story where it says Jesus wept, what happens is he has just received news. But here's the thing. Jesus also being God means he already knows, right? It's not like, so basically this woman comes. So if you've heard of Lazarus was a close friend of Jesus. So Lazarus's sisters came to Jesus and were telling Jesus that their brother had died. So Jesus had just been told that a friend of his had died. And the women, when they came to him, they were also crying, but it uses two different words in this instance, where it says Jesus wept, but the women were wailing, right? So it's like, you guys can understand the difference. Like, someone who is wailing, crying, and someone who is weeping, there is a slight difference there. And Jesus was weeping, and we don't know exactly what his pain was, but he was, in that moment, Jesus was experiencing sadness. And I think for me, one of the things about this passage that's really interesting is when we know and we think of Jesus and we believe that Jesus is God, it feels funny to me to say in that moment, Jesus was sad. And it feels even more odd to say that God in that moment was sad, right? So for me, when I'm thinking about this whole season of COVID, right? This whole last year, we've gone through a whole bunch of emotions. At first, I bet most of you, when last March, when you got sent home from school for a week, I'm willing to bet there were quite a few of you that thought it was pretty awesome. It's like, this is awesome. I'm getting to go home. I don't have to go to school for a week. And then before you know it, school for 2 weeks. And then before you know it, you're not allowed to see any of your friends. And then before you know it, it's been a month, right? And we just went on this roller coaster of emotions where we're excited, then we're low, and then we're lonely, and then we're, right? So it's like all different spectrums of emotion. And I think for me, one of the things that I'm taking away, right? Because it's important for us to not, I don't want to say it's important for us to move forward, right? We don't want to stay in this forever, but it's important for us to take some of the things that we've learned in this season and apply them to move forward. So for me, one of the huge things, and I think that was good for Carolyn and I as well, is a season of elimination, right? We realized there were a lot of things that we did that were not the best use of our time, right? So what coming out of COVID, one of the things that Carolyn and I have talked about is we need to say no more often, right? So one of our basically, now that people are starting to go out in public, Carolyn and I are being intentional to not make commitments, to not go out all the time, because we really do value the amount of time and the quality time, really, that we've been able to spend together. It's been a quantity as well, right? But we valued the importance of us to slow down. We valued the importance of us to not get overly busy, right? And as work takes off, like I shared with you guys, we're going to be starting off with program for students. If you guys are interested in coming, I'd love to have you join me at church on Sunday morning at 9:30. But we're going to keep doing Restless because it's also a good opportunity that I want to continue to meet with you here. But what are some of the things that you can take from this season and really put COVID in context? So the reason I shared that story with you is I think it's important for us. Like, we know the verse where it says Jesus wept, right? And we know that COVID was really hard, right? But how do we take that context and how do we move forward with that? So I just got a text saying that I disconnected. So hopefully it says I'm still live. So hopefully I'm back. I'm going to keep going, and hopefully you guys can hear me. And it's important for us to know that in this season that we look at COVID as a context. So one of the things that I talked about with you guys earlier was we see the context that Jesus was weeping, and it gives it more meaning when you see that, oh, Jesus was weeping because he was surrounded by other people that were experiencing pain, right? Because we know that in the big picture of things, in the big pictures of Jesus' story, was that he was able to conquer death, right? And for us, we know that death is a finite thing. So we're just gonna go and just continue to say, I know some people are having problems with me going in and out of connection. I'm just gonna keep going. One of the things that I always share about as we get older, right? And Aiden and Cole, I think you guys are two of the younger, I guess not really that young. You guys are what, 13, 14 years old, 15 years old at this point? So the older you are, right, as far as context, the smaller COVID is, right? So for me, COVID has only been 1/37th of my life. So, I mean, you might think, oh, that's significant, but like in the big picture of things, in the context of my life, it's not that huge, right? And it talks about in the context of eternity, our life is a minuscule amount of time, right? So it's important for us to remember that when we look at the context of COVID, it's been significant, right? It doesn't mean when it says that our life is just a vapor, right? It talks about like in the bucket of eternity is really, but that doesn't mean it's insignificant, right? There's a lot of stuff that we can learn. There's a lot of stuff that we can apply. There's a lot of stuff that we can move forward with. Okay, so speaking of eternity, we're going to transition into a game time here really quick. So I'll give you, let's go for maybe 5-10 more minutes here with our game. This game is called Ancient. Actually, I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray first to end our devotional, and then we'll transition into game time. So, God, thank you for our student ministry at RB Community, Lord, our faith family, and the faithful support that we have from our church. Lord, just ask that you would continue to be with the families at RB Community Church, the students at RB Community Church, the leadership, that we would make good decisions moving forward, Lord, that we would go into a season of growth. Lord, that we would take the lessons that we've learned during COVID, that it might grow our faith family. Lord, I thank you for the blessings that have come out of this, Lord. It's easy for us to focus on the negative. It's easy for us to get caught up in all of the bad things and the pain, Lord. And the pain is real, and there is hurt, and we know that that is okay. It's okay to feel that way. But I just ask that you might help us to look forward in hope, knowing that you are a God who's victorious over death, and going forward that you would continue to be at work in each one of our lives. In your name I pray, amen. Okay, so this game is called Ancient Artifacts. So the way this game is going to work, Ancient Artifacts. I actually, today, I was working up in the high school room and I found a floppy disk that went to a piano, right? So kind of one of those like, I'm not sure how I'm going to make this work, but there were floppy disks that went to a piano. There was an electric piano, so not quite sure how that worked. But the way this game is going to work is we're going to show you guys something from the past. And you have to guess when you think they're from. So the way this is going to work is I'm just going to throw something up there, and then you have to guess what time frame they're from. Okay, here we go. What do you guys think? Can you guys tell what that is? Honestly, that looks a lot like a diabetes insulin pump. What do you guys think that is? The Apollo Gold. Here we go. We'll go through these here really quick so you get an idea of how this is going to work. Okay, here we go. It is a beeper or pager, and it's used to send these messages. So yes, good job for the 70s. Good job from the 70s. So that is a beeper, and the way those work is if you needed somebody to call you, a pager. If you needed to make a phone call, you couldn't necessarily just call somebody because people didn't have mobile phones, but they had a pager, so you would page someone and then they would call you back, right? So it's like if I needed my mom to call me and I'm at home and my mom is out, I'm able to send my mom a page saying call this number, and then she'd be able to give me a call. So what do you guys think this thing is? We actually still have one of these at church, and we do periodically use it. What do you guys think that thing is? Sorry, I'm not sure why I thought this was going to be a year, but 60s to 80s. That is a fax machine. and it was used to send. It's basically a way to. Essentially, you're sending someone else a copy of something, so you're able to take a sheet of paper, scan it through, it sends it to somebody else, and it prints it out on their end. So you could print out something for somebody else somewhere if they needed something. Okay, here we go. Next one. What do you guys think that is? I know, I'm sorry these pictures aren't very good, so if you're not able to tell what that is, hopefully you don't have too much trouble. What do you guys think that is? Any guesses? I know it's hard for you guys to see, so I might just go through these pretty quick. Maybe this game won't be as successful as we thought. Here we go. A dot matrix printer. Lucien, you familiar with the dot matrix printer? You remember those? So, yeah, it does look like a punch binder, Amy. So yeah, that's a dot matrix printer. One of those. We actually also have one of these at church now. Yeah, it's one of the closets. Whenever someone arms or disarms the church alarm code, it prints out who. Basically, we all have different alarm codes. So if I go to the church and I need to turn the alarm off, I insert a code, but it's my specific code. And then this thing has a long spool of paper that collects in a box, and it just prints out who every time somebody goes in, so they're able to go back and have a record of everybody who's armed and disarmed the church over the years. Not sure who needs that anymore. Okay, I think you guys are going to get this one. Once again, I think that's a little difficult for you guys to see. What do you guys think that guy is? That is a typewriter. So I am not old enough to have used a typewriter. Well, not to have not used a typewriter, but I grew up with a computer in my house. So I always tell people I'm as old as you can be to have grown up with a home computer, right? So when I was in middle school, we had a computer in our house, but people who were 5 or 10 years older than me did not grow up. When they were in middle school, they did not have a computer in their house. So I always tell people, I'm as old as you can be to have grown up with a computer in your house. Here we go. Lucien, do you remember when your family got its first computer? What year maybe that was for you? So yeah, that's a typewriter. Basically, you put paper in it and it stamps all the words on. Okay, here we go. What do you guys think that is? Yeah, typewriters are fun to play with, right? Or just to click, 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 click. 1988-ish. Early 80s. Wow. Very cool. Was the Apple II the one that had the big thick body, or was that was not until the 90s, huh? So if you're 88, it was before that one. Yeah, that's the 8-track tape. So that's way back in the day, that's something that you would use to play music, right? And kind of as we're in a season of COVID, we're going into a season where lots of things have changed, and I think some people will tell people about, well, that's what we did before COVID, right? We'll use this as like a marker in history. Where were you when man landed on the moon? Where were you on 9/11. Where, like, what was your life like before COVID is going to be one of those things that we're gonna use as a reference point. So yeah, that's before the tape was the 8-track. So this is a fun one. I have mine right here. What do you guys think that is right there? I know for sure the adults in the group know what that is for sure. I had a boss that had one on his desk. And that's a thing called a Rolodex. And what you did with a Rolodex is you just put your contacts in there, and it's an alphabetical thing to be able to keep track of all your contacts. So you want to call Richard Klusmeyer, you'd flip to the K section and you would have my business card in there. So it's an alphabetical way to store contact information for people. Yeah, and it's called a Rolodex. Okay, we'll do two more. I think a lot of you guys know what this is. It's one of those, if you have one, it might be a tough time playing it, but you guys have probably all recognized that is what you watched movies. Like, that's like you would get a movie and like that's what it would be on. So if you checked out, I'm thinking from the rental store, right? If you saw it, if you went to Blockbuster to rent a movie, you'd say, "Hey, I want to rent Back to the Future," right? You'd get one of those, and then you'd put it in your cassette player at home, and it would play your VHS tape, play your movie on that guy. So that's the home video system. Okay, next one. I guess there's only a couple left, but I like this one. What do you guys think that is? I know we had tons of those growing up. We used them for all sorts of things, but they started off with one use, but they're little canisters that we used to put other stuff in, store little things, just so you know that thing in real life is about that big. If you guys know what those are. Maddie misses Blockbuster. Okay, so here we go. This is a film canister. Yeah, so basically, yes, Aiden, they do look like trash cans. That was why I tried to let you know, like, just for perspective. Those are about that big. It's a little tiny film canister, and when you would take your film out of a camera, right? This was before digital cameras. You would take pictures, right? And it would be on a roll of film, and you would put it into those canisters because you didn't want them to be exposed to light. Because the way the camera worked was it would use light to expose the picture. But if the light got into the film, it would make it so that all of your pictures would be all kind of blurry, right? Not blurry, but like over-lightened. So you wouldn't be able to tell what they were of. So this is a can that was impervious to light. So no more light would get in after you were done taking your pictures, and it would protect your film. Okay, here we go. So that's going to close off that game. We're going to end there. But join us on Sunday. And also, if you're not able to come join us on Sunday, we will make a video of this. We are going to play a game called Sink or Float on Sunday, where we're going to get a fish tank at the church in the high school room, and we're going to throw things in it. Not really throw things in it, but put things in it. And we're going to find out if things sink or float, and you guys are going to guess whether you think they're going to sink or float. So join us on Sunday. If not, we'll see you following week on Restless. Thanks for joining me. Sorry for any technical difficulties we had this week, but we'll continue to work those out and make our process smoother and smoother every week, every step we move forward. Here we go. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the sunny day. Maybe go out for a walk. And I hope to see you guys soon. I'm going to run and grab my Nerf gun because I forgot it around the corner. But I'll be back to shoot out that camera. Here we go. So the other day, I was going to our garage, and our neighbors' kids were playing with their Nerf guns, and I really wanted to go get my Nerf guns and start shooting, but I figured that might be a little creepy because I'm a lot older than they are. So here we go. Love you guys. Miss you guys. Hope to see you soon. Oh, that one's a dud. Oh, miss. Oh, hit but bounce. Hit but bounce. Oh, that was close. Oh, I think that was it. Came close. Hope to see you guys again soon. Make good decisions. Bye.